The calm of New Eden was shattered in an instant. It had been a peaceful colony, far from Earth, a place where humanity had planted its roots in a new world, hopeful for the future. The settlers lived in harmony, growing crops, building homes, and creating a society based on peace and cooperation. But all of that changed when the sky turned dark and a fleet of alien warships appeared above the planet. At first, the humans on New Eden thought it was some kind of misunderstanding. Communications were sent out requesting clarification, but there was no response. The strange ships hovered ominously in the sky, silent and menacing. The colony's leaders tried to make contact, hoping for a peaceful resolution, but as the hours passed, the tension grew thicker. A feeling of dread settled over the planet like a dark cloud. Then, it happened. In the dead of night, a massive attack began. Explosions rocked the surface of New Eden as alien weapons tore through the atmosphere. The colony's defense systems scrambled to respond, but they were no match for the overwhelming might of the invaders. It was as if the very sky had come, alive with death, a rain of fire that scorched everything in its path. The protagonist, Commander Jack Hunter, had been stationed aboard Earth's flagship, the Excalibur, when the attack began. From the command deck, he watched in horror as the first reports came in. The colony, which had taken so many years to build, was now nothing more than a blazing ruin. "Commander Hunter, we're receiving distress signals from New Eden," an officer's voice broke through the radio static. Jack stood at the helm, his jaw clenched tight as he scanned the data pouring in. "Status report," he demanded, his voice cold and steady. The officer hesitated before responding. "Sir, it's bad. Entire sectors are gone. The colony is under attack, and the defense forces are overwhelmed. We've lost contact with them." Jack's heart sank. His mind raced, but there was little time for thought. The attack was already underway, and Earth's fleet had to act. He knew New Eden was far from the homeworld, but its fall would have far-reaching consequences. The alien forces had crossed a line. "We need to move out now," Jack ordered. The weight of the situation pressed down on him like a heavy storm cloud. New Eden's loss was personal for him. It wasn't just a colony. It was the symbol of humanity's future. A communications officer hurried to Jack's side. "Sir, Earth is requesting immediate assistance. We need to prepare for deployment." Jack nodded and turned to face the officer. "Get me a direct line to Fleet Command." As the officer worked to establish the connection, Jack gazed out at the stars. The calm beauty of space had always inspired him. Now, it felt cold and distant, as if it was no longer a place of peace. He couldn't help but feel the sting of the loss, knowing that so many innocent lives had been lost in a matter of hours. Families, children, scientists, farmers, they had all been wiped out by an unknown enemy. The communication came through, and Fleet Command's voice crackled over the speakers. "Hunter, report. What's the status on New Eden?" "It's over," Jack replied flatly. "The colony is gone. We're moving out to engage the enemy." There was a long silence on the other end of the line, as if the news had hit the commander, at Fleet Command just as hard. Finally, he spoke. "Understood. We'll authorize a full retaliation. Humanity will not stand by and let this go unanswered. Prepare Earth's fleet. 700,000 warships will be assembled. We are sending them to avenge New Eden." Jack's eyes narrowed. 700,000 warships. The enormity of the response was overwhelming. He had never imagined anything like it. But the words, "Avenge New Eden," echoed in his mind like a battle cry. The human race had been knocked down, but they would rise again, stronger and more determined than ever. "Understood," Jack replied, the fire of vengeance burning in his chest. "We will make them pay for what they've done." As the communication ended, Jack's mind raced. The anger, the pain, it all merged into one overwhelming force. This was no longer about defense. This was about striking back. Every colony, every family on Earth was now united in their thirst for revenge. The alien invaders had chosen the wrong target. He turned to his crew. "Prepare for departure. We'll gather every ship we can and bring the full force of humanity to bear. This ends now. In the next few hours, the Excalibur and its fleet of warships began the long journey back to Earth's military hub. The orders were clear. Assemble the fleet, ready the weapons, and prepare for vengeance. As Earth's warships lined up, ready to face the alien empire that had attacked New Eden, Jack stood on the command deck, staring out at the vastness of space. The mission ahead would not be easy. It would require everything humanity had to offer. But Jack knew one thing for certain. They would make the alien forces regret their decision to destroy New Eden. Get ready, Jack muttered under his breath. We're coming for you. This section sets the stage for the story, focusing on the shock of the attack, the loss of New Eden, and humanity's resolve to take revenge. It's engaging and builds the tension for the coming war. Let me know if you need any further adjustments. The massive fleet of warships slowly gathered in orbit around Earth, the quiet hum of their engines a sharp contrast to the anger and determination that surged through the human commanders. A single unified goal was shared by all. Avenge New Eden. Commander Jack Hunter stood before a vast holographic map in the war room of Earth's military command center. His face, normally calm and composed, now showed the strain of the decision that had been made. He glanced around the room at the other officers, all of them feeling the weight of the moment. 700,000 warships, one of the senior officers spoke up, his voice filled with awe. That's more than enough to wipe out an entire fleet. But can we even get to the alien stronghold? The journey is long, and we're walking straight into enemy territory. Jack clenched his jaw, his thoughts already racing ahead. He was used to danger, but this was something else. The loss of New Eden wasn't just a military defeat, it was a blow to the heart of humanity, a challenge to everything they stood for. We'll make it, Jack said firmly. We will gather every last ship, every last resource, and we will bring every bit of our strength to this fight. New Eden has fallen, but humanity has not. We will rise and show the galaxy that if you strike at us, you will feel the full force of our retribution. His words had a powerful effect on those in the room. The officers nodded in agreement, the spark of vengeance in their eyes. They were ready to follow Jack into whatever came next. They all knew the risk. This could very well be a fight to the death for many of them, but they also understood that they had no other choice. Let's get started then, Jack ordered, turning back to the map. The plan would be dangerous, and the alien forces they faced were unlike anything Earth had ever encountered. But they had no other option. The attack on New Eden had been personal, and now it was time to make the aliens regret it. The next few weeks were a blur of preparation. The Earth fleet, a collection of humanity's finest warships, gathered its strength in the vast emptiness of space. In a way, the stillness of the surroundings made the anger feel even more intense. The ships, massive in size and powerful in weaponry, stood ready to take on a force that had wiped out a colony without warning. Jack spent his nights working, not only with his crew, but with the military leaders of Earth, coordinating strategies and deciding where to strike first. Every movement had to be calculated. A single mistake could mean disaster. Humanity's strategy was simple: hit hard, hit fast, and don't stop until they had avenged New Eden. There would be no negotiating, no compromises. The fleet's mission was clear: vengeance, nothing less. As the days passed, the fleet grew. Thousands of soldiers, engineers, and strategists joined the operation, and each person brought with them the same resolve. There were no doubts, no second-guessing. The invasion of New Eden had left its mark on everyone, and now it was time to repay the enemy. Jack stood at the helm of the Excalibur, Earth's flagship, as the final preparations were made. He watched the massive fleet assembling, its presence more daunting than any other fleet in the galaxy. The Excalibur, a symbol of Earth's might, was ready for its first real battle. "Commander, all ships are reporting in," the communications officer called out. "We're ready for departure." Jack nodded. He knew the journey would be long, and the alien forces would be waiting for them. But this wasn't just about strategy. This was about pride, survival, and ensuring that humanity was not seen as weak. This was the moment where they would show the galaxy that humans would not be ignored. "Prepare for the jump to hyperspace," Jack ordered, "and keep comms open. We need to stay connected. One misstep, and this whole operation could fail." The tension in the room was palpable as the fleet prepared to move. The officers and crew members were all too aware of what lay ahead, but they were ready. After months of planning and weeks of gathering forces, the time had come. The fleet moved out of Earth's orbit and into the vastness of space. As they entered hyperspace, Jack's mind raced. They were about to enter unknown territory, and with each passing second the danger grew. But he also knew that they had no choice. There was no turning back. "Sir," the officer at the navigation console spoke up. "We're about to exit hyperspace. We'll be within range of the aliens' border in 10 minutes. Jack took a deep breath. This was it, the beginning of the end. They were now officially in enemy territory. There would be no turning back from this point on. The fleet emerged from hyperspace, and there it was, the alien frontier, a dark and foreboding place. Ahead, a collection of enemy ships could already be seen, sleek, menacing, and ready for battle. It was clear the aliens were expecting them, but what the aliens didn't know was just how much humanity had changed. "We're here," Jack said, softly. "And we will make them pay for New Eden." His words echoed through the quiet command center, but there was no time for further speeches. The battle had begun. "All ships, open fire on the enemy," Jack barked. The moment had arrived, and humanity's war for vengeance was about to unfold. The full force of the 700,000 warships was unleashed, sending shockwaves through the stars. The alien forces had no idea what they were about to face. Humanity had sent 700,000 ships, and they would show no mercy. This war would not be fought with hesitation. It would be fought with everything they had. In this part, we see the full-scale preparation for humanity's retaliation. The focus is on assembling the fleet, finalizing strategies, and launching into enemy space, setting the stage for the battle that's about to begin. This section builds tension, excitement, and anticipation, showing how humanity is gearing up for the ultimate confrontation. Let me know if you need any further adjustments. The immense fleet of 700,000 warships glided through the cold void of space, a powerful force driven by vengeance and the burning desire to reclaim humanity's pride. Each ship was equipped with the latest technology, a testament to Earth's determination. As they approached the aliens' territory, the tension among the fleet grew. Every officer, every crew member aboard the ships knew that they were heading into the heart of enemy territory. This was no longer just a fight for New Eden. It was a battle to prove humanity's strength. Commander Jack Hunter stood in the command center of the Excalibur, watching the holomap as the fleet approached the alien border. The map showed a maze of alien worlds, each more dangerous than the last. He knew that the first step in their mission was crucial. A misstep could lead to disaster, and the loss of so many ships was not something they could afford. Jack's mind raced as he thought of New Eden, the lives lost, the families torn apart. Those thoughts pushed him forward. The enemy had made a grave mistake, and humanity would make them pay for it. "We're entering their space," the navigation officer said, breaking the silence. "We'll be in range of their outpost in 5 minutes." Jack nodded, his hand gripping the railing in front of him. "Status of the fleet?" he asked. "All ships are in position," the communications officer replied. "Weapons are armed. We're ready." A cold rush of anticipation washed over Jack. They had trained for this moment for months, but nothing could prepare them for what they were about to face. The alien forces were known to be aggressive, ruthless, and far more advanced than anything Earth had encountered before. But humanity's resolve was unmatched. This was their time to show the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. "Let's move," Jack said. "We strike first." The fleet moved forward, the vast expanse of space stretching before them. The alien outpost came into view, a massive, imposing structure floating in the depths of space. It was surrounded by smaller ships, sleek, black vessels that glinted in the dim light of the distant stars. Jack's instincts told him that these were just the scouts. The real enemy was waiting for them. "Open a channel to all ships," Jack ordered. He addressed the entire fleet. "Today we fight not just for New Eden but for every man, woman, and child who lost their life. We fight for our future. We fight because we are human, and we will never bow to anyone." The transmission was met with a roar of approval, a wave of emotion sweeping through the fleet. Humanity had long been a peaceful species, but that had changed. The loss of New Eden had awakened something deep within them, something fierce and unyielding. This was no longer just a military operation. It was a fight for survival, for honor, and for revenge. "We have their attention," the radar officer reported. "The enemy is moving to intercept." The first alien ships appeared, on the radar, their sleek shapes cutting through the darkness. There were hundreds of them, each one armed and ready for battle. They had anticipated humanity's arrival, and now the war was about to begin. "Fire!" Jack shouted, and the order was relayed throughout the fleet. The Excalibur and the rest of humanity's warships unleashed a barrage of missiles and laser fire at the alien vessels. The sky exploded with flashes of light as the weapons collided with the alien ships, sending them spiraling out of control. The power of humanity's retaliation was undeniable. The aliens had expected resistance, but not this kind of force. Humanity was striking with everything it had, and they were making sure the enemy knew just how much they had underestimated Earth. The alien ships retaliated, firing beams of energy that cut through the darkness, targeting humanity's fleet. The Excalibur rocked as one of the beams hit its shields, sending sparks flying across the command center. Jack's grip on the railing tightened, but he stood firm. This was nothing compared to what they had been through. The aliens had destroyed New Eden, and now they would see what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. "Deploy all fighters," Jack ordered. "We need to keep the enemy off our back." The fleet's fighter pilots scrambled into the skies, their ships darting between the massive warships. Dogfights erupted as humanity's small but fast fighters clashed with the alien crafts. The sky above the battle was alive with explosions, lights flashing as ships were destroyed in the chaotic dogfights. The alien forces fought back fiercely, but they were clearly overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of humanity's fleet. "Sir," a tactical officer called out, "the enemy is trying to regroup. They're deploying reinforcements." "Don't let them," Jack replied firmly. "We finish this now." The battle continued to rage. Humanity's warships pushed forward, each missile fired and every laser blast sent as a message. The alien forces had thought that they could destroy New Eden without consequence. They had thought that humanity would cower in fear. But they were wrong. Humanity was stronger than they had ever imagined. As the battle dragged on, the enemy began to falter. Their reinforcements had arrived, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Humanity's warships continued to press the attack, forcing the alien forces into retreat. The Excalibur and its fleet had gained the upper hand. The skies were filled with the sounds of battle, laser fire, the hum of missiles, and the roaring engines of the fighters. Jack stood on the command deck, his eyes locked onto the battle unfolding before him. This was just the beginning. The alien empire had attacked New Eden, but now they were facing the full fury of humanity's wrath. "We're winning, sir," the radar officer said. Jack nodded, but he knew this wasn't over yet. "We don't stop until every last one of them has paid for what they did to New Eden." The battle wasn't over, and humanity had just begun its campaign for vengeance. The enemy would learn the true cost of crossing Earth. The war was far from won, but Jack could feel the turning tide, and he knew this was only the start of a long and brutal campaign to avenge the fallen. In this part, the first true battle with the alien forces takes place. Humanity's fleet strikes first with overwhelming force, and they begin to show the aliens just how dangerous the human race can be when pushed too far. The stage is set for more intense battles as the revenge for New Eden continues. Let me know if you need any further adjustments. The war had only just begun, but already the vast fleet of humanity's warships had carved a bloody path through the alien defenses. Commander Jack Hunter stood on the bridge of the Excalibur, watching as explosions lit up the darkness of space. The enemy fleet, once proud and powerful, was now in retreat, but Jack knew this was far from over. The alien empire would not fall easily. The alien forces had regrouped, pulling back into their strongholds. They weren't running away. They were preparing for the final battle. Jack understood that, but the anger in him burned stronger than ever. New Eden had been destroyed, families had been lost, and now humanity would make the aliens pay. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "The enemy is moving towards their homeworld. They're pulling all their remaining forces into one final stand." Jack's heart raced. This was it. The moment they had been waiting for. If they took down the alien homeworld, they would break the heart of the enemy empire. It was a dangerous move, but Jack had no doubt it was the right one. "Prepare the fleet. We're going after them," Jack said, his voice filled with determination. The massive fleet began its march toward the alien homeworld, a destination that loomed larger with every passing second. The Excalibur and the rest of the warships cut through space, their engines roaring with power, their weapons fully charged and ready for the assault. Jack knew the enemy would be ready. The aliens had lost too much already. They would defend their homeworld with everything they had. "Enemy ships detected, sir," the radar officer reported. "They're preparing to engage." "Let's show them what happens when you attack Earth," Jack replied, his voice cold and resolute. He turned to his crew. "Prepare for full assault. We take no prisoners." The first volley of missiles launched from the Excalibur and the other warships, lighting up the darkness of space with a deadly blaze. The alien ships fired back almost, instantly, their weapons crackling through the void. The two forces collided with a deafening roar, the sounds of battle echoing across the stars. Jack's hands gripped the armrests of his seat as the Excalibur shook from a direct hit. The ship's shields flared bright, absorbing the impact, but the force of the blast was enough to rattle everyone on board. Jack quickly glanced at the damage reports flashing on his screen. The ship had taken a hit, but the damage was minor compared to the sheer scale of the attack. The battle was far from over, but humanity was pressing forward. "Return fire," Jack shouted, his voice steady. "We'll make them regret ever attacking New Eden." The Excalibur's cannons roared to life, sending a wave of deadly energy toward the alien ships. Missiles followed, tearing through enemy defenses and forcing the alien ships into a chaotic retreat. But the alien forces were not easily defeated. They retaliated with vicious force, targeting the most vulnerable points on humanity's warships. Fighters swarmed through the battlefield, engaging in dogfights above the ships, their weapons flashing in the night sky. The alien homeworld loomed larger, and Jack could feel the weight of the moment. They were so close now. A successful strike here would cripple the alien empire, but they would have to fight through everything the enemy had to offer. "Keep pushing forward," Jack ordered. "We can't let them get away. We finish this now." The battle raged on for hours. The fleet moved closer and closer to the alien homeworld, and the stakes grew higher with each passing minute. Humanity's forces were relentless, their fury unstoppable. Jack's mind raced as he watched the chaos unfold. He knew that the war wasn't over, but this was a defining moment. If they could break through the aliens' final defense, they would have their vengeance. As the fleet closed in on the alien planet, Jack saw something that sent a chill down his spine. A massive alien ship emerged from the planet's surface, larger than anything they had encountered before. It was a warship of unimaginable power, its weapons aimed directly at the advancing human fleet. The Excalibur shook once more as the alien ship opened fire, sending powerful beams of energy toward the fleet. Jack knew this would be the final test. This ship could turn the tide of the battle in an instant. "We need to take that ship down," Jack said, his voice firm. "All ships, concentrate fire on that target." The human fleet responded immediately, unleashing a torrent of missiles, lasers, and energy blasts at the massive alien vessel. The enemy ship retaliated with its own deadly assault, cutting through the human warships with terrifying precision. The Excalibur was rocked by a direct hit, sending sparks flying across the command deck. But Jack held steady. "Keep going. We can't let up now." With a final, coordinated effort, the human fleet managed to break through the alien ship's shields. The Excalibur unleashed its final strike, a massive burst of energy that tore through the alien ship, causing it to explode in a massive ball of fire. The blast lit up the battlefield, signaling the fall of the last great defense of the alien homeworld. "Target neutralized," the radar officer reported, her voice filled with relief. Jack let out a deep breath. It was over. The alien forces were in full retreat, and their once powerful empire had been brought to its knees. The battle had been fierce, but humanity had proven its strength. They had taken down the enemy's heart, and with it they had secured their revenge for New Eden. "We've done it," Jack said quietly, watching the wreckage of the alien fleet drift into the dark void of space. New Eden is avenged. But even as victory rang out across the fleet, Jack knew that this was only the beginning of rebuilding what had been lost. The cost had been high, and many had fallen. The battle for vengeance had been won, but humanity would need to rebuild and heal. Jack looked ahead, his eyes set on the stars. The galaxy had just learned that humanity would never back down, no matter the odds. The battlefield was quiet now. The once menacing alien homeworld lay in ruins, the scattered wreckage of countless ships drifting through space like broken fragments of a forgotten war. Humanity's fleet had emerged victorious, but the victory felt hollow. The cost of this battle had been immense. Thousands of soldiers, pilots, and engineers had lost their lives in the fight for vengeance, and the galaxy was forever changed. Commander Jack Hunter stood on the command deck of the Excalibur, staring out into the vast emptiness of space. His eyes swept across the wreckage of the alien fleet, their once proud ships now reduced to twisted metal and burned husks. The smell of smoke and fire still clung to the air inside the bridge, a reminder of the brutal struggle they had just fought. "We did it," the communications officer said quietly, breaking the silence. "We've avenged New Eden." Jack didn't reply at first. He wanted to feel the relief, to feel the weight of the victory, but it didn't come. The loss of so many lives, the lives of those who had given everything to defend humanity, still weighed heavily on him. The rage that had driven him at the start of this campaign was now replaced by a deep, somber realization. Vengeance, no matter how satisfying, could not bring back the people they had lost. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth," the communications officer said, bringing Jack back to the present. "Put it through," Jack replied, his voice tired but steady. The face of Earth's military leader appeared on the screen. General Thomas Vance's expression was grim, his eyes filled with both pride and sorrow. "Hunter, you and your fleet have done something incredible. New Eden is avenged, and the alien empire has been broken. The human race will remember this day." "Thank you, sir," Jack replied, his voice heavy with emotion. "But the cost, it's been too high. So many lives were lost. And for what? Vengeance won't bring them back." The general nodded. "I understand. The toll of war is always heavy. But this victory, this is something humanity needed. The aliens will never dare to attack us again. You've shown them what happens when they think they can destroy us. This was about more than just New Eden. This was about sending a message." Jack stared at the screen, his mind racing. He had always believed in fighting for what was right, but the war had left him with so many questions. Could they rebuild from the destruction? Could they heal the wounds left by the endless fighting? The victory felt like a hollow victory, a necessary one, but one that came at a terrible price. "Tell Earth we'll return home soon," Jack said finally. "We've won the war, but now we must begin the long process of healing." The transmission ended, and Jack was left alone with his thoughts. The bridge was eerily silent as the crew continued their work. They had done their duty, and the war was over, but Jack could sense that the true battle had just begun, the battle to rebuild, to remember the fallen, and to ensure that the cycle of violence did not repeat itself. As the Excalibur turned back toward Earth, Jack's mind returned to the people of New Eden. Their homes had been destroyed, their families lost. They had fought for revenge, but they had also fought for something greater, to protect the future of humanity. The war had changed them all. The galaxy would never forget the message humanity had sent. But even as Jack stared out at the stars, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to do, more to learn. Humanity's strength had been proven, but now they had to prove something else, that they could rebuild, that they could rise from the ashes and move forward with dignity, not just strength. The Excalibur glided toward Earth, its engines humming steadily, cutting through the darkness of space. Jack knew that they had done something monumental, but it would take time to truly understand the cost of this victory. He thought of the soldiers who had died in battle, of the families who would never see their loved ones again. Their sacrifices had not been in vain, but the pain of their loss would linger long after the war had ended. The fleet made its way back toward Earth, and as they approached the homeworld, Jack's thoughts turned to the future. What kind of world would they return to? Would humanity be able to heal from the wounds of war? Could they rebuild what had been lost? One thing was certain. Humanity would never forget the price of this victory. The message had been sent, and the galaxy would remember. But now, it was time for the people of Earth to rebuild. It was time for humanity to move forward. As the fleet descended toward Earth, Jack finally allowed himself to relax. They had fought with everything they had, and they had won. The war for vengeance had ended, but the war for humanity's future was just beginning. The battle was over, but the real work lay ahead. In this final part, the focus shifts to the aftermath of the war and the emotional weight of victory. Jack reflects on the cost of the battle, the loss of lives, and the uncertain future that lies ahead. The story concludes on a note of hope and determination, as humanity faces the challenge of rebuilding after a hard-won victory. Let me know if you need any further adjustments, Omini.